and welcome to the Gila Watershed Partnership Year-End Update and Celebration of Success. This has been a challenging year, but it's brought many unique opportunities and real successes that we were excited to share with you today. As our partners, volunteers, and supporters, you have been critical in helping us not only survive, but thrive this year. So please enjoy the following highlights of 2020, and thank you for the part that you've played in making them happen.
My name is Kira Kaufman, and I'm the Habitat Restoration Manager for the Gila Watershed Partnership. This year has posed some unique challenges for our restoration program, but with the support from other GWP staff and the community here in the Gila Valley, we've been able to rise to meet those challenges and actually achieve most of the goals we set out for ourselves at the beginning of the year. The goals of the restoration program primarily involve removing invasive vegetation and creating islands of native vegetation that enhance and protect wildlife habitat while also reducing wildfire risk and providing other benefits to the community. This year we had 6 active sites located between Pima and Vilas, Arizona. Starting in January of 2020, we had youth crews from 2 different organizations, the National Civilian Community Corps and the Arizona Conservation Corps. And these crews helped us to complete the bulk of our restoration work early in the season. These crews removed invasive tamarisk, treated secondary weeds, and planted native plants at our restoration sites. Unfortunately, starting in March 2020, we were no longer able to have these crews work with us due to restrictions resulting from COVID-19. And this reduced the size of our field crews significantly and left us a little bit short-handed. Fortunately, we had some excellent support from the other GWP staff who were able to help us come in and fill in those gaps. So our staff came out for a few days and helped us finish up the planting projects and setting up irrigation at some of our planting zones. And these staff days helped us to complete those projects that we weren't able to complete with the conservation crews. We also shifted a bit more towards the end of the season with more seeding than actually planting potted plants, because that allowed us to seed more acreage with native plants with a smaller crew than we could have if we had been using potted plants. And by using these techniques, we were able to make up for the loss of those crews and still make a lot of progress in our goals to meet those restoration goals we'd set for ourselves at the beginning of the year. However, COVID-19 wasn't the only challenge we had to contend with this year. Another one was damage by wildlife and livestock to our plantings. And we had to come up with some creative solutions to deal with these issues and help protect our plants. These involved raising irrigation lines to deter rodent damage, setting up electric fencing at some of the most heavily impacted sites to deter larger herbivores, and setting up game cameras. And these helped us to identify what species were causing the damage so we could better strategize how to deter those wildlife or livestock that were causing damage. Another challenge that we faced was the hot and dry conditions this year. And those we had very little control over, but had to do our best to step up and respond to them. Due to the lack of monsoonal rains, we had to invest a lot of time and energy into watering our plants. And this was done to help give them the best chance of survival possible. This ended up becoming a priority throughout the season because of the dry conditions. So we ended up having a greater focus on maintaining those plantings this year than we would have in a year with more rain. Another unexpected challenge we had to face this year was a wildfire at one of our restoration sites. This fire burned over 13 acres of one of our restoration sites near Pima in June this year. And this opened up a lot of space for weeds to possibly move in and take over the area. And if weeds were able to take over, that would push us a little bit back in our progress towards those restoration goals. So we needed to put something down there to help compete with those weeds. And this is where community support came in and really helped us out this year. We were able to get community support for funding to help purchase these seeds to cover our burned area with native grasses and forbs to try and compete with those weeds before they came in. And some of these plants were already sprouting up within a month or so. And we planted over 11 acres using just GWP staff, interns, and volunteers. This is one of the bigger accomplishments we were able to make this year, given all of the challenges that were thrown at us. So given all of these challenges, we actually made incredible progress towards our restoration goals this year. We were able to remove 6.72 acres of invasive salt cedar with our youth crews, and also retreat almost 55 acres of both tamarisk resprouts and secondary weeds, which makes up almost a third of the total acres we've been able to retreat since 2014. We also planted roughly 20 acres of plants this year, which included 1,900 plants from our nursery here at GWP. And this is a pretty good number considering the resources we had to work with. We also set up irrigation for many of these plants to help maintain them and increase survival. And we conducted the first large-scale survival surveys of our plantings. This provided information that will help us identify sources of mortality for our plants and figure out what works and what doesn't in helping our plants to establish and create that native habitat. The lessons we've learned from 2020 will help us to move forward into 2021 and strategize for how best to conduct our restoration. And this includes a focus on more site maintenance, as well as experimenting with new irrigation setups and planting strategies to help increase the survival of those plants. We also expect the tamarisk leaf beetle to arrive this summer, which will probably cause large-scale defoliation of tamarisk along the river. And this will have important consequences for habitat in the area. Therefore, this summer, in 2021, we expect to monitor our sites carefully for the beetle and adapt our restoration plans in response. Overall, this year's been extremely successful given the challenges we had to work through, but we have been able to come through it very successful, and we look forward to starting a new year of habitat restoration in the Gila Valley.
One of our biggest accomplishments this year is the completion of the Gila River Linear Park and Trail conceptual plan that was completed, connecting the people of the Gila Valley to the Gila River through recreation. This was made possible by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, Freeport-McMoran, the City of Safford, the Town of Thatcher, the Trust for Public Lands, and Graham County.
Hello, this is Steve Plath with the Gila Watershed Partnership. I'm the manager of the Gila Native Plant Nursery, and I'll be presenting the highlights of activities and progress of both the nursery and pollinator garden. Comparisons between 2019 and 2020. One of the things that I really wanted to highlight was the retail sales events that we had this year. Because of COVID-19, we had to be adaptive and create a virtual online format that has proved very successful for us, resulting in $12,000 of retail sales. We also did a first-time out-of-town sales event where we took plants to Tucson, and that added another $3,000 to our total overall retail sales. Also this year, we had a collaborative internship with BLM where we were able to hire students and members of the San Carlos Apache tribe. And these young people learned various techniques in the nursery about growing plants from seed and all kinds of nursery procedures. We also did our first time agave planting. This is an extension of the contract grow that we have with BCI, Bat Conservation International. We took 300 agaves to New Mexico and planted those out. We'll be doing more of those coming this winter. Of course, nurseries always need maintenance, so we did some upgrades and improvements on the evaporative cooler in the greenhouse, one of various chores. One thing that's very exciting also is our new half-acre seed orchard that we're in development of. We've done the clearing. This will allow us to grow native plants and produce seed for restoration projects throughout southeast Arizona and southwest New Mexico. Pollinator garden, we did several upgrades to infrastructure and other improvements, also addition of plants and other activities there. We fortunately were able to add some benches to our outdoor classroom utilizing cottonwood logs that we salvaged from one of our restoration sites that had burned a few years ago. So that's very exciting to allow classes to be conducted at the pollinator garden. We also added interpretive signage, talking about some of the pollinator aspects of the garden. Hopefully we'll be able to add more of these in the coming years. We're also adding interpretive signage so we can educate the public about some of the cool plants that we grow down at the pollinator garden as well as in the nursery. And one other exciting thing is GWP was able to participate with the Freeport Macmoran and their pollinator Bat Week broadcast to Safford School grade school students, 4th and 5th grade students. We also had the extra benefit of adding 20 more Palmer's agaves to the garden through the volunteer efforts of FMI staff. And also, finally, the pollinator garden adaptations. We're learning as we go. We're incorporating various techniques to kind of improve self-sufficiency of the garden. In this instance, as you see here, we added cobble to act as a mulch, and we'll be utilizing more annuals. And if you'd like to contact me, here's my phone number as well as my email address. I'm happy to answer any plant questions you have at any time. Thank you.
Hi, this is Keith Alexander. I'm the former chair and current board member of the Gila Watershed Partnership. One of my primary duties as a board member is to ensure that the financial resources are available to the Gila Watershed Partnership so they can continue their work in the upper watershed and also to continue to positively impact the local community. Back in March, as COVID was just starting, a lot of people had genuine concerns about how nonprofits would fare over the year. With your help, I am now pleased to tell you that this past year, our fundraising efforts have yielded an increase of 67% over last year. And I thank each and every one of you for your help in this. You know, one of the cool things about the local money we raise is that allows us to leverage that to bring in money from outside resources. In 2019 alone, the last year that we have complete numbers for, we brought in over $300,000 from outside the area, which was then spent on goods, services, and salaries here in Graham and Greenlee counties. With your help and your contributions, we're looking forward to another successful year. Thank you again for all your help and your support, and I wish you all a prosperous and happy 2021. Bye-bye.
Volunteers are vital to the success of our organization. This year, when our work crews were recalled due to COVID-19, our volunteers stepped in to fill the gap in the Gila Native Plant Nursery, the Pollinator Garden, and our restoration sites. The volunteer hours increased by 44% this year over last, and that equals over $140,000 in-kind labor. We are so thankful for our volunteers and appreciate the work that they do.
Hello, my name is Kara Barron and I'm the Science and Outreach Manager for Gila Watershed Partnership. And I want to share with you some of our accomplishments in 2020 for our science and outreach programming and do a little volunteer recognition as well. First up, I want to share with you about our native seed program. So this year we were able to do 30 wild collections of 24 different species. Now, this program supports the Gila Native Plant Nursery and our restoration efforts, so we're really excited to be able to get this done, and we can't do it without the help of volunteers. So thank you very much. We were able to get, again, 30 wild seed collections, 24 different species, and we also were able to get some more seed cleaning equipment to help make our program more efficient. So without this equipment, we might have to send this material out to be cleaned by others, or it can take several hours to do it by hand. So we are really excited to have this equipment to make us more efficient. All right, moving on, I want to share with you about our water quality program. So some of the things that I'd like to highlight was our ability to finish the Junior Ranger booklet. So this is a booklet for the San Francisco River, and it was distributed to the Clifton Library and to the Forest Service office in Three-Way, and we'll be distributing it to other partners as well. You can also find a copy of this digitally on our website, and it has a lot more animal photographs in it now, and it also looks a little more local. So we're really excited about this. It's super cool, and it's a fun activity for all ages. We also held 4 cleanups along the San Francisco River this year, and we had 120 different people come out and help us throughout the year. And we collected more than 2,300 pounds of garbage. So that is 2,300 pounds of garbage removed from the river and from the area. And I have to say that the last time we went out there back in or earlier in November, it looked so great, you guys. So I'm really excited. It looks like we're making some headway there. Keep up the good work. Thank you to everybody who came out. Moving on to our education and outreach highlights, we were able to engage 265 adults and 354 children in our programming this year, even with COVID. So I am really excited to share those numbers with you. We were able to get out to the Graham and Greeley County Health and STEAM festivals that were held before COVID hit. We also had a very successful Watershed forum, and we got really creative and reached out in other ways and with small groups throughout the year to try to keep everybody informed and help out in the community. So I'm super excited about those numbers. All right, moving on to our volunteer program. This is something I am very proud of, and you should be too. We had 308 people volunteer their time with us, and they volunteered more than 5,000 hours. So that is community members, that is AmeriCorps members, AmeriCorps and CCC. That is an increase of 78% over 2019. So you guys, we don't even have words. You helped us in so many different ways, and especially at the greenhouse. You know, Steve has a lot of babies to take care of in that greenhouse, and you guys really stepped up this year and helped us out. You know, due to COVID, we thought our numbers were going to go down, and you all proved us wrong. So I'm very excited and humbled to have so many great people helping us out. And I'd like to recognize a few of them by name because of the time that they've given to us over the years. So starting with those that have given us 50 hours of their service, of their time, I'd like to give a shout out to Jean Lepro, who's given us 65 hours, Braden Davis, who's provided 94 hours, and Amber Fontaine, who's given us 54 hours of her time. Those that have given 100 or more hours of service include Janice Goodman, who's given us 162 hours of her time, and Craig Wilcox, who at the time of this recording has given us 98 hours of his time, but he is scheduled out to give us more than 100 hours of his time by the end of the year. So thank you very much to Craig and Janice. Those that have given more than 250 hours of their time include Dan Gruber, who's given us 416 hours, and Julie Plath, who's given us more than 250 hours of her time. And she is now an AmeriCorps member, giving us even more of her time in a different capacity. And last but definitely not least, I'd like to give a shout out to John Barron, who has given us more than 560 hours of his time. And that has been over the last year and a half. So thank you so much again to everyone who has given their time to us. We sincerely appreciate you. And now I'd like to give you a little peek as to what we are expecting to do in 2021. So looking ahead, we are excited to be able to offer a couple more volunteer opportunities. And we're getting really creative because we know COVID isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So some of these, or one of these in particular, the Upper Gila Nature Scouts, is going to be online and through the Zooniverse platform. So please stay tuned for that. We hope to have that launched in January. And also tamarisk leaf beetle monitoring. As I'm sure that everybody has heard by now, the tamarisk leaf beetle is in Graham County and is down on the Gila River. So we will need volunteers to help us keep our eyes on how that is affecting the Gila River and the wildlife. Some new educational programming. We are really excited to be able to launch our Southeastern Arizona Youth Land Stewardship Program. That should be ready to roll out in the summer of 2021. And also we have Girl Scout program waiting in the wings. It's a great STEM program that we hope to be able to offer as soon as it's safe. And also budding botanist training. So please stay tuned for that. We expect that to happen mid-February, and I'll be putting out more information on that soon. So if you're interested in learning more about botany and identifying plants, you'll want to keep your eyes open for that one. And again, thank you all so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this organization and a part of this community. And I appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your year, and we'll see you in 2021.
In a time of social distancing, we've gotten creative in our effort to reach the public. We've moved our plant sale to an entirely online platform, which has increased our revenue by 25%. We've placed more emphasis on digital communication to engage people through social media and online video. As a result, this has increased our social media reach and engagement upwards of 70%. This translates directly into increased volunteerism and donations. We want to thank you for your continued support and participation this year.
We hope you've enjoyed this socially distant celebration of Gila Watershed Partnership's success this year. We could not do our work or advance our mission without you, our partners, volunteers, and supporters. Thank you from the board, staff, and from our community for everything that you've done to make this year a success. See you in 2021.